Good morning, lecturer, and hello everyone. Welcome to Singapore.
We're from Group 11.
I'm Manidai.
I'm Charanai.
I'm Northrinet.
We know that Singapore is one of the most modern,
Potential and powerful country in Asia. So today we're gonna explore more about Singapore country.
let's get started. My name is Charanai. I'm from Group 11 and I'm responsible for Singapore economy in terms of its currency, main import and export, and as well as Singapore culture.
So I'm Manidai, and today I'm going to be in charge of some part in Singapore country, including like for the first one, I'm going to be responsible for the political system, the current ruling party, and also some interesting fact about Singapore. And the last one, also how Singapore engage with another Asian country as well.
Good morning, lecturer, and hello everyone again. My name is Northrinet. Today I'm going to responsible for two main points. The first one is basic information that we talk about general information of Singapore, and the second one is geographical feature that we focus mainly about where is Singapore located and also how many population of Singapore. And there are a lot of information that you guys will know soon.
Good morning, lecturer again. My name is Northrinet. So the first point is basic information. Singapore, or we can call the Republic of Singapore, is an island and city-state, which is the smallest country in Southeast Asia. And also, Singapore became independent on 9 August 1965. That Singapore separated from Malaysia and became independent country. The capital city of Singapore called capital of Republic of Singapore, and it contains almost 6 million population there. Because Singapore has a lot of foreigners, so there are 4 official language that Singapore use every day, such as English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. But Singapore mostly they can speak more than 2 languages, but English is the most common one that most of Singapore population use. Now move to Singapore flag. The flag of Singapore consists of 2 horizontal white. The top stripe is red while the bottom is white. And also the red stripe is twice the height of the white stripe. The white crescent moon is located in the upper left corner of the red stripe. This moon is facing fly side, and the moon is flanked by 5 pointed white stars. Red is a symbol of universal brotherhood and human equality. White represents purity and goodness. The crescent moon represents a young nation on the rise. 5 stars are symbol of democracy, peace, progress, and justice. And the flag of Singapore was adopted on 3 December 1959. Now move to Singapore national anthem, and the song become Majula. It means hope and spirit of Singapore for progress. Now let's get to watch a song together, and you can watch the full song on YouTube or any other social media. So here I just put only some part of the song. This song is so beautiful. So now let's move to part 2 is geographical features. As we all know that Singapore is situated near the equator and has a tropical climate with we have a lot of rainfall, high and uniform temperatures, and it also has high humidity all year round. And also Singapore is surrounded on the boundary by Malaysia and Indonesia, but it has proximity to Thailand, Vietnam, and Brunei. For national resource, Singapore is central located in resource-rich Asia, and Singapore is a leading global hub for agri-commodity, metals, and mineral. Singapore has very limited non-renewable resource, so the economic is depend on oil and natural gas import. Thank you, lecturer. That's all for my point. Now let's move to Jordanay.
Greeting everyone once again. Now I'm presenting you about Singapore economy. The currency of Singapore is the Singapore dollar, abbreviated as SGD. Now let us move on to the second point, which is Singapore main import and export. Singapore import machinery, equipment, mineral fuels, chemical, vehicle, food and beverage, while it export machinery and equipment, mineral fuel, pharmaceutical and biotechnology, financial services, electronics, and professional services. So let us move on to Singapore important sectors. Here are some of Singapore major trading partners, such as China, Malaysia, United States, European Union, Japan, Indonesia, South Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand. Singapore economy is highly diversified, and its major sources of income come from various industry and sectors. These sectors contribute significantly to the country's GDP and overall economic growth. Here are the major sources of income for Singapore. There are financial services, electronic manufacturing, information and communication technology, pharmaceutical and biotechnology, logistics and transport, tourism and hospitality, oil refining and petrochemical, professional services, and lastly, real estate. Singapore is a multicultural society with a rich tapestry of ethnic, religious, and cultural diversity. This diversity is reflected in its demographics, major religions, and ethnic groups. Here is an overview of Singapore cultural insight. So the first one, let us begin with demographics, where we focuses on population, age structure, and population density. For the first one, population. Singapore has a population of about 5.7 million people, as it has mentioned in 2021. The population is relatively young, with a median age in the mid-40s, and a significant portion of the population is of working age. Lastly, population density. Singapore is one of the most densely populated countries in the world due to its small land area and large population. Next, major religions. So, in Singapore we have Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Eurasian and others. So let us move on to Singapore ethnic groups. By the way, the major religions of Singapore are Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Taoism, and Confucianism, and lastly, Hinduism. So, for Singapore cultural harmony, Singapore is known for its emphasis on racial and religious harmony. The government actively promotes multiculturalism and tolerance through policy and initiatives. Public holidays and festivals reflect the diverse cultural makeup of Singapore, including Chinese New Year, Hari Raya Puasa, Deepavali, and Christmas. The official language of Singapore are English, Mandarin, Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. Let us move on to Singapore food. The famous food are hawker culture, iconic dishes, and fusion cuisine. For Singapore architecture, we have colonial buildings, modern skyscrapers, and shop houses. Next, let us move to sports. Singapore mainly focuses on its Grand Prix and football, or we can call it in another term as soccer. Badminton, table tennis, swimming, and bowling are also popular sports in Singapore too. Now let us move on to Singapore music. We have divided into three types, which are multicultural music, local bands and artists, and lastly, traditional music, such as Chinese opera and Malay gamelan, continues to be an important part of Singapore cultural heritage. Next, let us focus on Singapore fashion. Singapore fashion divided into three, which are traditional clothing, modern fashion, and shopping. Let us take a look at Singapore Festival. In Singapore, we have 4 important festivals such as Chinese New Year, Hari Raya Puasa, Deepavali, and National Day. And for Singapore traditions, we have three types too, which are Peranakan culture, that is a blend of Chinese and Malay influences, is evident in cuisine, fashion, and traditional crafts such as batik and beading. The second one is cultural preservation, that is preserve its heritage through museum, cultural festival, and heritage trails. And last one is religious harmony. The country encourages respect and tolerance for all religions, promoting interfaith dialogue and understanding. This is the end of my presentation. So let us listen to the next speakers.
Getting to the first point is about the political system in Singapore. So in fact, Singapore is a republic within the Commonwealth, gaining independence from the UK as a part of Malaysia in 1963, and it got separated from Malay in 1965. Moreover, Singapore is one of the region's most politically stable countries too. According to the UK government source, they claim that Singapore practices modified version of the Westminster Parliament system, and however each parliament sits for a maximum of 5 years. Moving on to the second point of my whole responsible part, which is about the ruling party of Singapore. Actually, Singapore has got multi-party system, but the one that is the most dominant until now is PAP, or we can call it under the full name is People's Action Party. This party is treated as the most popular in the country. It was led by Lee Kuan Yew, but then it was under Lee Hsien Loong control, who is Lee Kuan Yew's sons. Like Lee Kuan Yew tried to inherit it to Lee Hsien Loong, who is his son, to continue it after his death. Yes, just like it. And moreover, Singapore is being on democracy, as Singapore always dictates worker owning the means of production, the absence of social classes, and a state-controlled economy. It's like Singapore is being on democratic side, as they let their people do whatever they want and also enjoy the moment that they have, something like that. Next point is about some interesting facts about Singapore, and the first thing that I found it interesting the most is the demography of Singapore. As we all have known that Singapore is located on the Iceland, but you know that Iceland is not consist of only one but 64 island, 64 like different 64 island, and it also include the Sentosa, Pulau Ubin, St. John Island, Sister Island, and many more like huge and different island as well. For another interesting point is Singapore is a city of non-man-made waterfall. As we can see in the Changi Airport, like there is a big waterfall that was made by human, and people also enjoy taking photo and also taking a walk there as well. Like they see it is fake, and it also interesting, you know, people find it very interesting to enjoy there and something like that. Another point is about the lion statues that we already have seen in Singapore. Many Singaporean people believe that those lion statues may have been adapted from the tiger, as they have their own story tell about hunting animal or something like that. Yes. The next point is Singapore is being the world greenest city. We all have known that Singapore is located on Iceland, but Singaporean people, many people in Singapore, they try to encourage their people to plant more trees, to do more about develop more about the biodiversity, and to understand more about the benefit of forest or wood as well. That's why they keep their land to be the greenest and try to plant more tree day by day. For the last fact about Singapore is being home of the Royal Nice Rooms. We can see that Singapore's night safari provides a non-cultural experience like no other in the city. It is also the world's very first night zoo as well. It opened in 1994. The certified healthcare park features over 10,000 animals from 120 different species living in their naturalistic nighttime environments. Coming to the last part, and it is about engagement with ASEAN. So how does Singapore engage with ASEAN? As one of the founding members, there are many aspects that Singapore has been done, including political, economic, and social. Moreover, Singapore actively participates in ASEAN meetings, summits, and initiatives in order to promote regional stability, economic integration, and community building with ASEAN as well. These are some aspects that Singapore has been applied to help other country, and also as a
member in ASEAN as well.
This is the end of our presentation about Singapore country, and we hope you guys will enjoy listening to it and also get to know more about Singapore as well. And we really thankful for your attention with us. Yeah, thank you guys.